All right, Ruckus Maker Nation, I am excited to go live today and talk about racism in schools. And this is going to be a short video, can't go too long because, anyways, I got something to run to. But the point is this: last night in the mastermind, we had a really engaging discussion around race and actually around a concept called caste. So since the murder of George Floyd, I've made an effort to make sure we're talking about race, about equity, about inclusion, about justice within the mastermind. Typically, we've read, a lot of books that specifically focused about leadership, but isn't creating a more just and equitable society a function of leadership? What a great use of our energy, our talents, our gifts. And so we're reading this book by Isabel Wilkerson. Highly, highly, highly recommend. Yeah, it's called Caste. And real quick, here are 4 books that I recommend that you check out if you're interested in this topic. I hope you are. So, How to Be Anti-Racist. You've heard of that one, I'm sure. The Person You Mean to Be, Caste, which I just showed you. And we'll be reading in 2022, Inclusive Conversations. So now on to Caste. This book is hard to read. It is difficult to read. But this is the thing. Nobody said that leadership would be easy. As a leader, you signed up to do difficult things. And within schools, where some systems are created to oppress and to, just keep power in the hands of the few and not the many, or, hey, Laura, no way, I can't believe that you are watching. It's so good to see you. Former student, lots of love to you. Anyways, it's your job as a school leader to address systems of oppression within your school. You have to take them on. Now, they don't have to be flagrant in terms of racism, right? Like those are the easy examples almost to address, right? When people use slurs or, just do terrible stuff, violence, that kind of thing. The more subtle, yeah, that's right. Hey, we just spoke, Chris. Great to see you. The more subtle examples of racism, that's really what you have to be looking for. And caste is a really interesting look at that. So totally ignorant. I never knew this. It wasn't in my generation, but back in the 60s, there's a pillar that Isabel Wilkerson talks about, and she talks about purity and power, right? And as pools were being opened up in different types of communities, yes, Laura, I will get you that book for sure. Thank you so much. That's super generous. But within communities, like pools would be open, and there's this just insane idea, right? That the water needed to stay pure, which meant only white communities could use the pool. Are you freaking kidding me? First, that thinking is just absolutely ridiculous. But second, what was a learning for me, which I never knew, that white communities would literally throw glass into the water or drain the pools from water just so black and brown communities couldn't use it. Can you imagine that? It's absolutely outrageous. Now, that doesn't happen these days as much, or I haven't heard of that. I am an outsider, right? I have male white privilege, so I'm not privy to all those type of things. But here's how it exists in schools, right? Who has access to the most rigorous courses within your school, right? And here's the thing, like so proud. I can't name names, but there's a number of leaders that I support. They've gotten rid of tracking within their schools, right? They've made their most rigorous courses accessible to all students, meaning all students have access to the best classes, the best teachers, the courses that will get credit, right? Middle school to high school to college. And that opens doors and changes futures. Here's what happens. It's not glass being thrown in the water. It's the white community or affluent community. Sometimes it's the same, sometimes not. But they say, oh, what are you doing with the classes? We don't want our students taught in the same classroom as those students. So it looks a bit different. Now, I didn't even actually think I was going to go into those examples. The point was this: the school leaders feel the heaviness because there's responsibility and gravity of what they need to do to address these oppressive systems. And Andre, like, I am so happy you're here right now because the time we spent at Franklin and basketball and all of that are some of my favorite memories in the world, like legit. And your ability to be consistent, you always were there, always helping, like that meant the world to me. and I hope you're doing well. All right. So some of the leaders within the group, they're like, does the book get more optimistic? Does the book offer solutions? Spoiler alert, no. Looking at the past, looking at terrible things that have happened is not easy. It's very difficult. But the way to a more equitable and just society is to not bury our heads in the sand, it's to learn from the mistakes of the past. And so, in my encouragement to my leaders, and this is what I want to end with, my favorite book of all time, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And I want to read to you a quote that he has on page 109. Frankl says, and if you don't know his story, a Jew who survived the Holocaust, he was in Auschwitz and made it out. And within that experience, he still searched for a way to find beauty and meaning in life. Can you imagine that, right? So incredible, incredible book. But so he says this, Frankl says, ultimately, man should not ask what the meaning of his life is, but rather he must recognize that it is he who is asked. In a word, each man is questioned by life, and he could only answer to life by answering for his life. To life, he can only respond by being responsible. And that's the point. That's the joke. That's the assertion that I want to make. The book doesn't get easier. Looking at the tragic and terrible and horrific things that happen in our country, that never gets easier. And if you're looking for it to get more optimistic and rainbows and puppies and kittens, that's ridiculous, right? And if you're looking for the answer, look in the mirror. That's the point that Frankl's saying. It's not about what the answer is and somebody else telling you. It's you deciding for yourself, what are you going to do about it? So you know me, I'm all about making a ruckus, and I hope that this has inspired you quickly, and I hope you figure out what your answer is in terms of making a more just and equitable society. Got to go, be well, and go make a ruckus. Bye for now.